Texas built a 28-10 halftime lead and absorbed Clemson's biggest punch in the second half, beating the Tigers 38-24. It was the Longhorns' ground game that grinded down Clemson. Jaden Blue and Quintravion Weisner both up over 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns apiece. The Longhorns finished with a season-high 292 rushing yards. In the fourth quarter, Blue ripped off a 77-yard TD immediately after Clemson had scored to make it a 7-point game. Texas punches back and advances to the quarterfinals to face Arizona State in the Peach Bowl on New Year's Day. All 3 home teams have won the first 3 playoff games. CBS Sports HQ presented by Belfor Property Restoration. Back here in studio with Bryant McFadden and Emory Hunt and BMAC. The ground game is what wins this game for Texas, 292-76. Wow. Jaden Blue and Quintravion Weisner have a day, kids.
No question. Now, we must not forget about the injuries to the running back position that Texas had to deal with the entire season, because both guys were not supposed to be their day one starters, but they had to fill in for the starters that were missing because of injury. But today, they put forth their best rushing performance. This might have been, guys, the best rushing performance that I've ever seen under Steve Sarkisian as the head coach there with the Longhorns. In a much critical moment, they needed to show up big time. Blue was outstanding. Weisner was outstanding. And to your point, we saw a battle-tested Clemson team fight back in the second half. A possession away. All the momentum was in favor of the Tigers. Guess what happened? Blue said, I got it. I can take the momentum right away. Off-tackle run, took it 70-plus to the house, instantly stole all the momentum from Clemson, and that was a defining moment for me, Emory, because, like I said, Clemson had fought back into the game, surprised all of us, and if their defense could have got a stop, somehow, some way, who knows what their offense would have been able to do if that said thing would have happened.
Man, listen, I was not familiar with your speed, Mr. Blue, because he turned that corner, and you knew he was gone once he got right at the second level, not past it, but right at the second level, he was like, oh yeah, he out the gate. But point of attack play is going to be the reason why Texas can go far. The run game dominated up front with their offensive line. Yes, they took some injuries today. A couple of guys got banged up a little bit. We'll see how that plays out moving forward. But on the defensive side, big time goal line stands at the 1-yard line, shutting down the run game of the Clemson Tigers. Actually, back-to-back run plays, they shut down Klubnik and also their tailback. So for me, the point of attack play was outstanding on both sides of the ball. Texas came out like they played, their last game was, you know, a month ago, because they came out fresh. Yeah. And Clemson came out like they played Thursday. You know what I'm saying? So I like how Texas came out and just set the tone up front, and that carried them out the rest of the way.
6.1 yards per clip. I know you like that for Texas. That wins you football games, Emory.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's actually impressive. And you kind of got the feeling when it's hard to run off tackle, especially weak side. We saw them run weak side a lot. Then they flipped it over, ran strong side to the right side. In order for these runs to happen, you got to give you a shout out to the receivers, because I thought they were blocking really well downfield. So it was a total team effort on both sides, but offensively speaking, great job by the offensive line, great job by the wide receivers, letting the running backs do their thing.
Quinn Ewers, 17-24, 202 yards, a touchdown, and a fluke interception, you could call it, early on. When you look at Quinn Ewers, he's got some, you could say, unfair or fair criticism, and we've sat up here and talked about it, both of you guys, we've talked about it all season long. Did he show you anything, BMAC, in this game? Because what I saw from him is he was driving the Longhorns down the field with efficiency.
Yeah, we didn't really need to see a lot from Quinn because they ran the football so well.
Right.
They controlled the game at the point of attack. I'll say this, though, guys, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and the same can be said for the viewers that are watching this as well. It feels like Quinn Ewers, when he came back from his injury, he was a different Quinn Ewers. If you remember how he played before his injury, he was playing to a whole nother level. Many people felt like he would be a top NFL prospect, potential first-round quarterback. But then when he missed some time, I don't know if his timing was a bit off, but the Quinn Ewers that we're currently watching, even though he's orchestrating wins for them, he's not giving us the same Quinn that we saw in the first month of the season. So hopefully he can get back to being the guy that we raved about in the first month of the season, because at some point in time, in this new playoff structure that we're watching in college football, your quarterback will have to become a playmaker. And if you look at the teams that we still see that are active in college football, the ones who we believe that can actually find a way to hoist that trophy have a potential playmaker at the quarterback position.
Sure.
We need to see, can Quinn become that guy? Tonight, he didn't need to, because they ran the football well enough for him to just to be good enough. But in moments like what we will see moving forward, you're going to have to become a playmaker at some point in time. And Quinn, we've seen you do that. We just haven't seen you show up to that playmaking ability since returning from your injury.
You said a lot, man, in a good way, because there is so many different parts to this whole Quinn Ewers thing. Earlier in the season, to your point, against Michigan, we saw him step up in the pocket, different arm angles, doing everything you want to see a guy do, because based off what we saw last year in the postseason, we felt like he left a lot of meat on the bone. And this year, he was talking about being a Heisman Trophy candidate, and we saw some of that early in the year. Then he gets hurt. Then he started to be a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more gun-shy, not stepping into throws, not putting the ball where it needs to be deep down the field. In this ball game, I will say, coming in, I said I trust Cade Klubnik more than I trust Quinn Ewers. This looked like the wrong thing to say, but based off what we saw last, I thought the biggest play he made today, it was a 3rd down. He rolled outside. Clemson did a great job in playing great defense. He kind of bought time, didn't cross the line of scrimmage, bought time. Clemson retreated. He dumped it over the guy's head for a 1st down that kept him on the field, and they were able to run out the clock. So efficiency, game management, he had to be that today for this Texas team to win.
And let's talk about his friend, the opposing quarterback, Cade Klubnik. They competed against each other in high school showcases, so they know each other real well. And you know Cade Klubnik wanted to oust Quinn Ewers. He comes up short, but he showed you, B-Mac, he can play at this level. And we've known that when he took over for DJ Uiagalelei, because there was that consternation. When are we going to make this guy our guy? And he has become that guy. 336, 3 touchdowns, and the interception. Did you learn something about Cade Klubnik? Did you take something away from his performance today?
He's a fighter, Hakeem. He's a fighter. Now, granted, he was chasing points the entire ball game because they got down. So, of course, the volume is a bit different for Cade compared to Quinn. But when he got things rolling, especially in the second half, I mean, he really made this thing extremely interesting just to watch from afar, because he is a fighter. And the thing I love about Cade, when he's improvising and becoming a +1 in the running game, I think he's better. I would love to see him do more of that, because he's an athletic guy, and that actually can help their offense, especially tonight when they couldn't run the football at all. It put more pressure on Cade, but he was able to answer the call. So moving forward, they did a great job in terms of bringing Cade into the program and developing him, because he's 10 times better than what we saw when he first became a player in their offense compared to what we're watching now. So kudos to Clemson staff in terms of developing Cade Klubnik and making sure that he can become the best they need him to be able to be in moments like today. They came up short, but they will have a fighting chance as long as they have Cade.
Yeah.
And this is what we normally see from Clemson. You go back to what, Taj Boyd, you go back to Deshaun Watson. When they get the quarterbacks involved, Charlie Whitehurst, Dantzler, all those guys, you get those guys involved in the run game, that's when they're having some success, especially under Dabo Swinney. So for Klubnik, I like the fact that he showed the toughness to fight. This whole team showed fight, to be completely honest. And next year, I think Clemson could be back in this position again, because now we know the type of offense to build around Klubnik. They couldn't run the ball today, and that was the biggest issue, but Klubnik held his business this afternoon.
So he's a projected day 2 pick in this upcoming NFL draft. If you're advising him, are you telling him to come back for another year?
Yes.
Or are you going to take a chance
to
go to the NFL?
Come back, because one thing about this quarterback class as we see it right now, it's not deep.
No.
And it's top heavy.
It's the tight end class that's deep.
Yes, it's the tight end class. Every other position seems to be deeper than the quarterback position. If you think about what we could see in terms of the quarterback prospects for 2026, if you Cade come back and put together a full season of high efficient play, I believe he can improve his draft status. Now, me personally, that's what I would advise, because like I said, this is not a deep class. You can only think of maybe 2 to 3 guys, 2 for sure, and maybe a third that could be a potential day 2 or day 3 guy. But if you're Cade, when you look at the NIL opportunities he's getting as well, I mean, come back, get the NIL opportunities, and try to improve your stock for 2026.
Especially when you look at how the season just ended. Like, man, we're in the postseason. We had a chance to we had a chance to compete. Maybe we can, run it back again next season. We got all of these guys coming back, and we can have some success and probably go further in the playoffs. I'm with you. I think he comes back. Read the room a little bit. Drew Aller said he's coming back. You have a lot of other quarterbacks deciding to come back. Hey, let's make the 2026 class one that everyone talks about. And let's not kid ourselves. Guys also look at who's picking the top of the draft. You have a better position next year, maybe a team that you would rather go to than what you see this season.
Be curious to see next season if the ACC gets 2 teams in after what happened on this day to the 2 ACC teams. So, look, Clemson fought, SMU, not so much.
Yeah.
It was cold outside.
You can't, no excuses.
Football weather.
There are no excuses in playoff football. Both of you men know that. All right, let's get our Belfor player of the game. B-Mac, it's one of two players, really, the player of the game. Who is it going to be?
I'll take the guy who kind of jump-started the efforts for Texas, Quinn Wisner.
Oh, yeah, Q.
Outstanding day today, 15 carries for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Get this, he averaged 7.3 yards per tote. Basically, every time he touched the football, it was almost a first down. He was unbelievable, arguably his best day in a Longhorns uniform. So Quinn Wisner is my guy for today.
I'll raise you one back and give you the other one. Jaden Blue, 14 carries, 146. I believe my math serves me correctly. That's 10.4 yards a tote. That is a first down every time he touches the football. 2 touchdowns, and just a cherry on top, 2 receptions for 31 yards. So he was having success on both ends of offense. Both of those guys really stepped up today for Texas.
Season high 292 rushing yards in Texas, running its way into the quarterfinals to face Arizona State. Bryant, McFadden, Emory Hunt here on CBS Sports HQ as you take a look at what the running backs did on this day. The two-headed monster, Quinn Wisner, Jaden Blue. Both these guys are just absolute beasts when running the football. Both up over 100 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns apiece. Again, a season-high 292 rushing yards along with the 4 touchdowns in the victory. So Texas advances to the quarters to face Arizona State, the Peach Bowl on New Year's Day. We look ahead to the matchup next on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Belfor.